How's it going everyone, and welcome back to the channel for another Star Wars Battlefront 2 video, and today we'll be doing another ranking video. Without a doubt my most popular series on my channel. And in this ranking video we will be ranking all of Battlefront 2's game modes from worst to best, which will obviously include the brand new game mode Capital Supremacy. Now if you guys want to see a video ranking of all Battlefront 2's reinforcements including the new ARC Trooper and Commando Droid, then let me know in the comments below. And as always, feel free to subscribe to the channel for more videos just like this one. Now just a final disclaimer before we get into the video, these rankings are pretty much completely off of my personal opinion. However, I do have some channel influence that help decide the number one spot, so keep that in mind as we go. But anyway, let's dive into this, and kicking off the list at the number 11 spot as the worst game mode in Battlefront 2 we have Jetpack Cargo. Now I'm not gonna lie, I didn't think Jetpack Cargo was even in the game anymore, but apparently it's in the Ewok Hunt playlist, so yeah, it's in this video now. But regardless, Jetpack Cargo was the game mode that annoyed the entire community. Whilst everyone wanted new heroes, new maps, new everything, this is what we got. A game mode that just utilizes the most boring reinforcement in the game. This game mode was a bad idea from the start, and it died out very quickly and reminds me of a much darker time in Battlefront 2's timeline. But now moving on to the number 10 spot, we have Hero Starfighters. Now for real, I don't think anyone actually plays this mode. I myself have only actually played it once, and that was to get gameplay for this video. And believe me, that was more than enough. Now, I'm not against flying in Battlefront 2 or anything, but this for me is just a game mode that doesn't need to exist. Barely anyone plays it, and it's just boring. I honestly don't think there's a better way to describe it. It's just plain old boring. And honestly, this could easily be alongside Jetpack Cargo as the worst game mode in the entire game. You can honestly consider it that way if you like. But now moving on to the number 9 spot, we have Ewok Hunt. So Ewok Hunt, whilst not as bad as Jetpack Cargo or Hero Starfighters, it's still below average to be fair, and not a lot of people really play it anymore. I myself don't think I've played it since like a week after it dropped. It got boring very quickly and was a fairly unnecessary game mode. And it was just another small game mode DICE added to the game that just wasn't needed, and the time used on it should have been used on making new heroes or maps for Galactic Assault. Whilst playing as Ewoks is a fresh approach and was a good throwback to the hunt modes in the original Battlefront 2, that's the only real thing it's got going for it. I mean, if you enjoy it then the power to you, but for me, Ewok Hunt is easily one of the lower game modes in Battlefront 2. But now moving on to number 8, we have Blast. So Blast is not a bad game mode. It's just your basic run-of-the-road team deathmatch with infantry and reinforcements. Like I said, it's not a bad game mode, but the game has so much more to offer than what this game mode allows. If you want to test things out with infantry and reinforcements, then yeah, Blast is probably the way to go. But overall, it's basic as hell, team deathmatch and nothing more. So for those reasons alone, I won't spend any longer talking about it. And at number 7 now we have Hero Showdown. So Hero Showdown is, it's alright. It's unique enough from Heroes vs Villains to not just be a cut in half version. It's a game mode that definitely benefits having a friend to play with and communicate with. And I like the idea of having to change up your heroes when you win the round. It makes you use all the heroes and villains on the roster and not just settle on one or two, which is a good thing. But this is a very niched game mode. I can't imagine many people jump onto this game whilst playing with themselves and not a friend, so it doesn't always appeal to the vast majority of the community. Whilst I can appreciate the idea for the game mode, it's just not a top tier game mode that appeals to majority of the players in the community. But now onto the number 6 spot, we have Starfighter Assault. One of the bigger game modes that has just kind of been phased out of the mainstream for Battlefront 2. Not too many people play it anymore because it relies heavily off of the immersion of being in a space battle. Which to its credit it does very well, but once that novelty wears off, it gets kind of boring and the flaws of flying in this game come out to play. Starfighter Assault is certainly not a bad game mode. It's actually pretty good if you want to immerse yourself into a space battle, but the fun and novelty of that, like I said, it does wear off quickly. If it didn't and this game mode had longevity, then I'd definitely rank it higher, but there is a reason that not many people play Starfighter Assault anymore. If they added new maps to Starfighter Assault, I personally probably would start playing it again. But until then, I probably won't ever play the game mode. Now, once again, not because it's boring, but because the novelty is well and truly worn off for me. but cracking the top 5, and at number 5 we have Extraction. So Extraction was pretty well received by the community and was easily one of the standout game modes in Battlefront 2015's DLC. It was a ton of fun and you could probably still get lobbies on it today, so they practically just ported it over into Battlefront 2 when Kessel was released into the game. Now some people like the whole hero thing with the game mode, whether you should or shouldn't have heroes, but I don't really care about that, to be honest. I enjoy the idea of Extraction, and as a fan of it in Battlefront 2015, I was happy to see it come to Battlefront 2. I really do wish more people played it still though. It seems to be a pretty dead game mode on Australian servers, which is disappointing. So overall, it's a solid game mode, but probably not getting the attention it deserves as it died out pretty quick. But moving on to number 4, we have Strike. So Strike was one of the first game modes we got our hands on through Battlefront 2's promotional times, and it was solid. It may have died out a little bit over time, but there is still some love for the game mode there, and because of that, I think the game is seriously underrated. Granted, you can have bad games of it here and there that makes you want to quit, whether it be the way your teammates play or the map design and how it affects the game mode. But unlike Blast, this game mode has some seriously fun objectives with rounds and a system. And I personally think it works pretty well most of the time, and I'd gladly jump on for some games of Strike from time to time. If you ask me, however, the top 3 game modes for Battlefront 2 are by far and away above the rest. So the way I see it personally, Strike is kind of the best of the worst game modes. But now, getting into the awfully predictable top 3, we have Heroes vs Villains. Easily one of the most played game modes in the entire game. Before Capital Supremacy's release, it was Heroes vs Villains and Galactic Assault that ran the show, and for good reason. Heroes vs Villains is a marquee game mode that puts the heroes and villains against each other in target-based gameplay. Ditching the build from Heroes vs Villains in Battlefront 2015, opting out the round system. I personally would like to see it go back to the round system, as the targeting system in Heroes vs Villains, it lets the toxic players of the community just piss you off in every way imaginable. Whether it be Boba Fett flying all over the map in places you can't reach, or Luke running around the map in circles avoiding conflict, it's annoying. And it's where the game mode goes downhill. Apart from that, it's enjoyable all-out Heroes vs Villains carnage and is fun when the game mode is played how it's supposed to be played. The upgrades to the lightsaber combat have improved Heroes vs Villains quality overall and has helped with a lot of the game mode's problems, so as a game mode it's gotten better literally in the past few days alone. But anyway, moving on, and at number 2, missing out on the number 1 spot, we have Galactic Assault. Now I personally was happy putting Galactic Assault at 1 or 2. It didn't really faze me, but I left it down to a poll on the channel to decide, so here we are. Now, Galactic Assault has been the daddy of all the game modes since launch. It's the marquee game mode that gives us everything the Star Wars universe has to offer within the Battlefront formula. While some maps make the experience 10 times better than others, Galactic Assault needs no justification to be in the talks for best game modes in the entire game. Whilst it does feel as if it's a little too on rails as a game mode, it's still fun. It allows the use of infantry, heroes, vehicles, reinforcements, you name it, and that's why it's so great and is a go-to game mode for practically everyone. But that of course leaves only one, and coming in as the best game mode in Battlefront 2 we have Capital Supremacy. Now some people may get a little bit triggered over this, but I feel like people are taking their anger out on the game mode itself instead of the actual issue. If Capital Supremacy had the same amount of maps as Galactic Assault, I think it's more than fair to say that Capital Supremacy would be the marquee game mode of Battlefront 2, taking the crown off of Galactic Assault. So I get that the game mode might go stale due to limitations of the amount of maps, but arguably it's the grandest, most immersive game mode we have in Battlefront 2. Whilst the space to ground and ground to space isn't seamless and it's hidden by cutscenes, it still takes you further than Galactic Assault does. It's kind of what the Scarif DLC introduced with going space to ground through cutscenes, which isn't the ideal way to go about it, but it is what it is. However, considering they spent a year making the game mode, it could have and probably should have been a whole lot more, but it is still a very good game mode nevertheless. It does need some tweaking to fix how long the matches go for and some very, very annoying bugs. But once that is all sorted and there are new maps for the game mode, I think Capital Supremacy will certainly overtake Galactic Assault as the number 1 go-to game mode for all players of Battlefront 2. But that will of course come in time and rely on whether we're actually going to get more of this game mode, which all signs lead to we will, which is good to see, but then again, it is DICE, it is EA, so we never know. But anyway, that does bring the rankings to a close, so be sure to let me know in the comments what you guys think of this. What is your favorite game mode in Battlefront 2? Be sure to let me know in the comments section below. I've never set a like goal before for a video, but if we hit 500 likes in the first 2 days of this video going live, I will drop the reinforcements ranking video, which will include the 2 new reinforcements, the ARC Troopers and the Commando Droids. But anyway, as always, be sure to subscribe to the channel for more Battlefront 2 videos like this one, and that does it for me today, so thank you all for watching, and I'll talk to you all again real soon.